welcome to Sarah's Stamping Retreat. Today we're going to be creating some fun Halloween cards, and I'm going to create them with some really cool products that Waffle Flower Crafts sent me. So I'm sure if any of your Instagram feeds looks like mine, then you'll have seen this Postage Collage Die being used all over loads of people's Instagrams. I've not had it, so I was so pleased when they sent it to me. And you can see you get the main piece, and that cuts out like that. And then I'm going to lift that up so I can show you what other pieces you get as well. I think it's easier to see without it. So you get all these kind of like pattern shapes. And the other thing that I love about this is that it comes on a magnetic mat. So really, really useful for storage. Because I find when they're packaged with tape, then once you've lifted them once or twice, then the tape's kind of like come away or whatever, and it's harder to store them like that. But I really like these will store really nicely. So then these parts of what they sent me are actually what came in this September sneak peek kit. So every month they do a sneak peek kit. So this came out at the end of August, but it's got some of September's release in it. And I think it's a really cool kit because you get the product before everyone else, and it's really nice as well. So we've got this Postage Collage Spooktacular Stencil. So that is stencils that make up some of these cards here. Then there's the coordinating stamp set. You get a quarter of a paper pad, so it's just a really fun Halloween themed paper pad. And then these Subsentiments. So all this stuff, obviously the full paper pad, is now available to buy as part of the September release, but this did make up the kit. And it comes in this cool Ziploc bag, which I actually use to store it all in because it's really handy to keep it all together. So I've cut out this. I'm going to pop it in my stamp wheel just because I want to use this sticky mat to hold everything in place. So then this stencil set has 4 parts to it, and really helpfully it's labelled, so it has 1 out of 4, so you know that's the first one, and then it says backgrounds, and then you've got 2 out of 4 and it says light orange, 3 out of 4 says shadow/dark orange, and 4 out of 4 is black/dark. So it gives you the ideas of what colours to do them, which I think is really helpful when you're first using the stencils. And then you can obviously, once you've kind of got used to them, then you can kind of decide what you want the colours to be. I think that's a really useful guide for when you're first using something. So I'm going to line this up on here, and they've got a little kind of embossed line where the stitched line on the die goes. So that's really handy as well. I'm just using my sticky mat just to stick that down in place. So the first time we do this, we're going to do it basically how it's supposed to be done. So I'm going to use Villainous Potion Distress Oxide ink for the backgrounds on this one. So then you can see we've kind of got the silhouettes of what we need. Then number 2 says light orange. So I think this would work fine if you did it all in light orange, but I can see already that there's some bits that I want to do in different colours. So I'm going to use my scattered straw first. I'm going to do that for these parts of the mushrooms. I'm also going to use that on the moth. I'll use that over here as well. Then I'll use fossilized amber on these. Oh, that's really handy. I've only just noticed that on here it says cheeks, it says steam, so that you can know without working it out for yourself what they are. I think I might go with pine needles for the steam, make it kind of a bit goopy green. And then maybe I'll go in with a little saltwater taffy for the cheeks. So then we've got this layer, and this says shadows or dark orange. So I'll start with the bits that I want dark orange first, which is going to be spice marmalade. So I'll do that on here. And then I'm going to use my shaded lilac for the shadows. And this final one says black/dark. So I'm going to use black soot. This is the only one that's not Distress Oxide, this is just distressing for this layer. And then I think I might just use a bit of festive berries for the top of the mushrooms. So then there is our little postage scene ready to go. I think that's really fun. So then we've got this, but I want to put some of the pattern paper behind it. So I want to cut away all the purple, and so I'm going to use my craft scissors just to go in and cut all of that out. I might end up using my craft knife for some of the smaller bits as well. Now, I have to say, there's absolutely no need to. If you don't like fussy cutting, just don't do this step. But I just wanted it to be a little bit different. I want these parts to kind of stand out from all the other bits. So I think it looks really nice as it is, but this is just kind of a bit extra that you can do if you like fussy cutting. By the way, a little tip, when I'm fussy cutting small areas like this, I like to cut a loose area out first, and then that gives your scissors the room to move into the tighter areas, and it gives you a much nicer finish. If you try and do it straight away without that hole, you find it much easier to rip all the nice parts. And like I said, I can just go in to some of these smaller areas with my knife and just cut those out. So then now I've got this, I think that looks really cool on this piece of paper from the pack. So I'm going to glue the paper onto my card front. Then I'm going to add some foam pads behind my postage stamp piece. And then these little pieces just pop out of here. I'm going to use this trick or treat one. I'm going to pop that up on foam pads. I'm going to add that onto it. So then there's that card done, and I really like it with the pattern paper in the background. You could even, if you wanted to take it up another level, make it into a shaker. So then I've done another one of these for my next two cards, and I've done it in exactly the same colours as the other one, except I decided to use this Dusty Concord colour in the background rather than the Villainous Potion. It's just a bit more of a knocked back purple. But this time, so I'm going to use this across two cards, and I'm going to cut apart these pieces. Then for this next card, I've cut a masking sheet, so I've just cut it to the same size as my card front, so 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inches. And then I've cut a circle in the middle, so I'm going to add that to my card front. And I'm going to go in with scattered straw, and I'm purposefully not making it a particularly smooth blend because I want it to kind of look a bit like the moon, so I don't want a flat colour. And I'm going to add a little bit of fossilised amber as well. So then I'm going to remove this, and I can put that back on here to use a different tone. And then I'm going to use the piece that I cut out of the middle just to go over here. So I'm going to go in with some purple. So I'm going to go in with Shaded Lilac first, right round. Then I'm going to go in with Dusty Concord. And then right round the edge, I'm going to use some Villainous Potion. So then I'm going to remove this. So then I want to give it a bit of a kind of postcard vibe. So I'm going to pop that in my stamp wheel. I'm going to line up my sentiment where I want it. So I'm going to go with Hey Beautiful, You're Spooktacular from the stamp set. So then to add to those postcardy vibes, I'm going to add a line down here. I'm going to add a couple of lines across here as well. Then I'm going to add some of these tombstones along the bottom. And you've probably noticed that my ink pad isn't incredibly well inked, and I was considering colouring in the silhouettes with a black pen, but actually I think it kind of adds to that kind of spooky feel. I quite like it like that, so even though it wasn't how I planned it, I'm going to leave it like that. So then I'm going to use this Happy Halloween as kind of a postage mark here. And then I'm going to add on some of these bats. So I really love how that turned out, and all I've got left to do is just glue on my stamp. And I'm actually going to add on this little 31 cents in the corner. So then there's that card done. So then for my final card, I'm going to create a really simple card. I'm going to cover most of the card front with this piece of pattern paper. So that gives me a chance to just use a card front that I've made a mistake on before. I never throw them out because it's easy just when you're using pattern paper just to cover that up. And then I'm going to arrange these on my card. So then I'm going to glue these down. Now I'm going to pop this one up on foam pads. And I'm going to add on this little sentiment, which I've popped up on foam pads. And then there's that final one done. I'm really pleased with how they turned out. I think they're really fun, and I've absolutely loved playing with these products. So there are all three of our cards for today. I really hope you enjoyed creating them with me and having a little bit of a look at how we can use these products a little bit differently. If you enjoyed this video, I'd really appreciate you clicking like below, and you can also press subscribe if you'd like to see future videos. If you press the bell button and select all, then YouTube will also notify you when I've got a new video available. All of the products that I've used for today's cards are listed in the description below. There's also a link there to my blog where you can find a pictures playlist if that helps you find what you're looking for. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope to see you again soon.